Hello and welcome everyone to another Northgard patch note review on this channel. Today with the big balancing patch that has just arrived yesterday. So there will be no new things added with this patch, and rather the mechanics that already exist will be balanced against each other to make a little bit better balance in Northgard. There are quite a few nice changes that I really like to see, but there are also a few ones that I'm not the biggest fan of. In this video I want to show you which changes have actually been implemented and want to share my opinion about them with you. I hope that you'll enjoy it and don't want to lose any more time now, so let's just jump right into the patch note. And there we are on the third big balance patch of Northgard in March 2020. At first we're gonna jump into the general changes, and there is one change that is pretty big and I think pretty welcomed by a lot of players. Because the Altar of King got changed quite a little bit. Like, not only the cost have been raised from 10 stone to 15 stone, but also how the altar actually works, because it will not give you +3 on every resource anymore as soon as you build it, but rather will give you +1 of every resource for every 200 fame you were already able to get. So for example, if you got 200 fame, you will get +1 of every resource. If you got 400 fame, you will get +2 of every resource, and if you got 600 fame, for example, you will get +3 of every resource. This effect doesn't actually have a maximum and can be amped up to infinity. Well, I can't really guarantee you if it's infinity, but I tested it up until +5 and are just guessing that it will never actually stop. You will still get the +1 happiness and the +50 fame, but in general it should be way less worth for a lot of clans to rush the altar now. I think one of the clans for which it should actually still be worth should be the Stag clan, because the Stag clan should have already 250 fame as soon as you build the altar, and I don't think that the way to getting 400 fame to get at least +2 production out of the altar is that far away. So with the Stag clan I really still see a way to rush the altar, but for example with the Boar clan that before really loved to build the altar and benefit from it with legacy, it's pretty much out of the picture now. The Boar clan oftentimes will not even have the 200 fame when you build the altar, even though that sometimes you will hit it, but even the only +1 production shouldn't really be worth for the Boar clan to build the altar at that point. And even in the later stages of the game I don't really see the Boar hitting high fame counts to really make the Altar of Kings pay for itself. So in the end I think it's a really welcome change, because basically it were just altar guard before. Every clan were just going for the altar if you were going for a mid-eco-ish game. But I'm personally not really the biggest fan of the hit of the Boar clan right there, because the Boar clan really got taken away the altar right there, and I don't really see a way for the Boar to actually make it work again, what in the end makes the legacy lore kind of redundant. Other than that, I'm still a big fan of this change though, and really happy that it's not only building altar now in Northgard. The next change is one that I didn't actually see made it through the beta phase. I think it's a really cool change because it definitely changes up the playstyle a little bit and actually gives you a way to work against the Kraken event. Because if you have a lighthouse on your dock or harbor, it will actually be saved from the Kraken attack. So for example, as a Raven clan player, you could at least have one harbor running throughout the Kraken event to at least get a little bit of gold economy rolling. It's a little bit of an investment for that, and I don't know how much you're actually gonna make use of the trading ability then, since you got the lighthouse already. But I still really like the change because I don't think it will break the game in any way, and will rather open up maybe a few new strategies that you could go for with that, what I think is really nice. Let's go down to the next building change. That will be the carved stone change, because the carved stone cost has been cut from 50 stone to 10 stone. That goes along with the change of the erudition lore, what will not halve the cost of your carved stones anymore, but we're getting into that a little later. Also the brewery price has been reduced to 80 wood and 40 crowns, so it basically costs as much as the Hall of Skulls right now. But it's still a very costly building, and I think also for the upkeep that you have and the villagers working in there, it won't really bring the brewery back for a lot of clans. But maybe it gets a little easier now to actually decide for a brewery when you really need it. And especially for a clan like for example the Goat clan that sometimes really needs a brewery, I think that's a kind of a welcome change. Also, villagers can no longer repair a tower on a tile that is under attack. I gotta say that I'm actually quite a fan of this change. I made use of it in the past, but mostly because it were in the game for quite a long time already and a lot of players made use of it, so I rather wanted to balance out the playing field out a little bit. But spamming a tower basically when you get attacked with a villager to just try to not get it down that quickly never felt like it would be a right thing to do, and rather felt a little bit like bug abusing. So I'm not too heartbroken that this is not possible anymore, and I think it's a pretty welcome change for a lot of players. As the last building change, the clan of the snake will not be able to build the altar of kings anymore, because it of course now scales with fame, and the snake clan doesn't own any fame, so will not be able to make that happen. But I think it also makes a lot of sense, because it's in the end the building that you need to go for the fame win that the snake clan already has no access to, and the snake clan might actually be one of the most versatile clans in Northgard right now, through the stolen lore that basically opens up the way for the snake in so many ways that I don't think all the snake clan players will be all too heartbroken about that they're not being able anymore to build the altar of kings there. So I guess a nice change, while also a very needed one, because the new altar of kings wouldn't really work with the clan of the snake anymore. So let's jump into the unit changes right here. The first change will be about healers and menders, since their healing speed has been improved by 10%. I think that's a pretty cool change, because healers in general are a little bit too slow in my opinion. And I really like it to have them a little bit quicker, and the quicker they get, the more of an option they actually also get for me to actually build the healers, because they now also gather food automatically. So all the signs show a little bit more to healers right now than they did maybe a year ago, so I really like that. Smiths are also a little bit quicker right now, so relics take a little bit less time to forge. I can't actually say how much that is. If somebody of you has an idea how much that got reduced, just drop it down in the comments. It would be really nice to know, but I can't really say you. I would say that it would be around 10 to 20%, just about the word less, but I can't really say you at all. The next change will be the shield bearers that have now 5% more attack power and 5% less defense power. Hard to say how that actually will play out. That really got to play out in the game, and how that will affect shield bearers right now, and maybe even benefit axe throwers, I guess. Well, axe throwers also got changed quite a bit, but also something we're gonna get in later. The wyverns also have received a complete cosmetic redesign and now look completely different. It's also for a few other things. I think the portal of Helheim looked a little bit different, and it looked really nice. I gotta say, like, the redesigns, I'm really a fan of them, and they're really nice to look at. Let's jump into the difficulty changes. At first, the AI has been improved. They have now better resource management, a better defense, and are a bit more aggressive. I only played one game against the AI as the Snake Clan with the Draconic Frenzy build, and I played against the Dragon Clan AI, what of course also has access to Draconic Frenzy, and therefore oftentimes attacked me with a single Chief or Dragonkin that popped out pretty quickly one after another. I think that has been improved a little bit, and therefore were really able to hold me back for a little bit of time. Well, I think that we're more a result of the matchup right there, and I don't think that the AI actually got that much better there, but it is a step in the right direction again, and the better the AI gets, I think the more interesting the game also gets for players that only play the game in offline mode or actually in the campaign. Also, the word hostility has been increased by 10%. I don't know if that counts for all game modes. It's definitely happened in high difficulty. Like, I think you know my opinion about that. I'm not the biggest fan of that, because I'm a big fan of PvP in Northgard, but I already play on medium difficulty, so I guess it shouldn't be all too feelable right there. Also, the winter's wood production now depends on the difficulty what you are playing. That were before not like that, so it were only the food consumption that basically changed, and the upkeep for the buildings that you would be paying. Now also the wood consumption changed a little bit, and I really want to know how it changed in medium, of course, because that is the game mode that I'm mostly playing. So if they just made it a little bit easier for medium, or if they amped up the wood consumption for the high difficulty, what I rather think that have happened. Also, the Draugr event is scaled upon difficulty. We'll also need to see how that actually changed. I think it will be a little bit harder on higher difficulty now. And the earthquake events are also scaled upon difficulty, but will be nice to see. It were a little bit weird that on easy difficulty, for example, just as many buildings started burning as they would be on medium or high. So nice that it's now a little bit changed. I guess that medium most likely is how it were before now, and they just amped it up a little bit for high difficulty. But maybe also the high difficulty is how it were before now, and they made it a little bit easy for medium difficulty, what I would be actually a real fan of. But I don't really think that happened, and it rather been amped up for the higher difficulty. And then we got a little change for the rank mode right here. It's just one little change, but basically enough to make me not really want to play ranked anymore, because the world hostility in ranked game modes is now always set to high. I don't think that's too bad of a change for getting ranked players together, because all the ranked community will now basically play on the higher difficulty, what I don't think is a bad thing at all. I'm also not too butthurt about it, because it doesn't mean that I can't play Northgard anymore. It will just mean that I will not play ranked Northgard most likely anymore, what is a little bit sad, because I think this season were actually the season where I played the most ranked games that I have played in any season. But it's not too bad. In the end I will just drop back to non-ranked again and yeah, keep on playing my medium difficulty right there. So let's go down to the military paths right now, because we also have a few changes right there. The first one will be a change to the Guardian suppressing fire ability, so your yearly defense tower upgrade will now be stacked if you don't use it. That was pretty helpful for me, because oftentimes when I go for this path, I forget that I can upgrade a tower for free and will lose a few upgrades through that. Now they will actually stack up, so I won't lose them and will actually have them in a situation where I actually need them. I think that's a pretty cool change, because now you can actually also think about to just delay your tower upgrade for the time that you would really need it, and I think it's a pretty cool change, to be honest. And the veteran fighters ability out of the Conqueror tree also got a little change right there, so skirmishers will basically now get the effect of the Dragonkins, so a 5% decolonization speed for each skirmisher you have in the tile, what I think should be pretty helpful for the Snake Clan and also makes sense for the Snake Clan. And the Dragonkin will now also get a little bit of Dragon Essence for every kill that you get with a Dragonkin as soon as you get this effect. What I think will lead Dragon players to go for a different path right there, because oftentimes when you attack with your Dragonkins, you have, for example, your attack power for the Dragonkins or the heal for the Dragonkins already going, and you really want to keep those bonuses and you don't want to lose them by getting more Dragon Essence. So I think that this will not be used by Dragon players that much, and rather for builds where it could really help out. I can't really make out which ones that would really be where you can really make good use of it. But if you're a Dragon Clan player that wants to go forward somehow and get an army up, I don't think that will be really helpful for you, because you really want your heal or attack power bonus and you don't want to lose it mid-fight just because you killed too many units. In the end, still quite interesting changes I think right here, and will maybe shape up the game a little bit. Now let's talk about the relic changes right here. For example, Mjolnir got changed, so it also deals half damage to military units. That is still quite a bit of damage that you will be getting, and for example your villagers will still die like nothing. But having the effect a little bit reduced on military units is, in my opinion, a step in the right direction and will help to keep your army somewhat alive if you react in the right moment. The next change will be about Braga Full, that will now give you a Krone bonus depending on your commercial influence. I can't again tell you how high that actually is. If you have any information about that, you're really welcome to drop them down in the comments, because I also would be pretty interested how big that actually is. And if not, I will definitely try it out in one of my next videos or streams to see how big that actually is. The Scabbard of Grum, what is the relic for the Bear Clan, has this deceleration speed reduced by -5%, so de-armed it a little bit, what I think is pretty good. You can still hit a bunch of units with that, which will still be very helpful, but having that a little bit less effective should be really helpful, because it were definitely one of the strongest clan relics in the game, and having that de-armed a little bit is pretty nice. Also, Jormunur, that is the relic for lore, got rebuffed a little bit, so you can now colonize lore zones with lore for every 4 months instead of every 6 months. Before you were able to just take tiles without any restriction. I think now with the 4 months we're getting a little bit back into the territory where the lore relic could actually get useful to colonize a lot of tiles, what I think is the main usage for it. I don't think it's quite back to the point where you could really make a big use out of it. I'm sure that some players will show me different, and that is actually quite a good change right here. But I guess with a little bit less time between that, the lore would actually take a little bit more, of course. But again, I think a really good step into the right direction, and I couldn't personally say say how much cooldown on the Relic would be the right thing to do. And yeah, I think 4 months is definitely better than 6, and let's see how that actually plays out in the game. With that, let's jump into the general techs, because there were also quite a few little changes in there. At first will be the erudition lore, that will now enable you to build your first carved stone for free, but you gotta keep in mind that other carved stones cost will not be halved by 50%. But the cost of carved stones got reduced from 15 to 10. So if you don't build so many carved stones, in the end the change will actually be beneficial and a buff for carved stones. If you build a whole lot of them, in the end you will pay a little bit more than you had before. But you gotta keep in mind that the erudition lore got changed. It might be a little bit confusing right here, because I also read it a little bit wrong and thought this would just be the new lore text for the lore. But it will actually increase the Lore Master production by 20%, so we will end up at 40% buff of Lore Masters if you go for the erudition lore. So this will make your Lore Masters really strong, and I guess open up the way a little bit back to lore rushes. I don't know how fast they will actually be right now. I guess actually not fast enough to actually get them through. But I still think that it might open up the way for quite a few new strategies here to make a little bit use of the new erudition lore and the free carved stone that you will be getting, in combination with the 40% buff of your lore masters. That could really help you out to get in a good lore position in games where you maybe don't have that good of a lore position actually. The negotiate lore will also give you plus 20% marketplace stock replenishment right now, what I think is pretty cool, because it will help you out to buy more things in the marketplaces that you obviously want to do with the negotiate lore. And the recruitment lore got nerfed a little bit. So before, it permanently increased your population growth speed by 25%, and if you lost one single unit to another clan, this would increase to 50% for the next 6 months. So quite helpful for only losing one unit. So you would oftentimes see players just converting one low warrior and maybe just run them into a tower of another player to just trigger their recruitment. It has been changed to now permanently increase the population growth speed by 25%, what is obviously the same number it were before. And now you will gain an additional 5% for the next 5 months for each unit you lost to a different clan. So it will not be one unit triggers the 50%, it will then be only a 5% bonus per unit. So if you go back to the example before, if you then would pick a warrior and send him into another player's tower, you would end up with only a 30% population growth speed bonus instead of a 50% population growth speed bonus, what is pretty helpful. In the end, this effect has a maximum of 75%, so that's a little weird, because I think in some situations it can be even stronger than the recruitment that we have right now, obviously, because it can end up with 75% of instead of 50%, but it will help you out in situations where you lost all your army a lot more than in fights where you maybe just lost one unit and then afterwards just get a 50% bonus for that. So I think it helps out clans that don't have recruitment a little bit against the clans that have recruitment, but I still think recruitment is a really strong lore, and if a clan doesn't have it, you will really feel it against the clan that has it. What I also want to note is that the additional 5% bonus actually works like you would imagine it. So every single warrior starts a timer right then, and you couldn't like throw 10 warriors away, get a 50% bonus, wait 3.5 months, and then send one warrior into another tile to basically re-trigger the effect. That won't really happen. You will get the normal 5% for that warrior you send away, and the other ones will basically go away when they should go away. So it will be counted for every single warrior, and you cannot re-trigger it with one warrior then afterwards, what I think is pretty important and good. The next change will be the stolen lore for the clan of the snake from the Boar clan, because it were actually legacy before, but since the snake clan can't build in Altar of Kings anymore, of course doesn't make any sense anymore, so now it will be osmosis, what is a pretty good lore for the Boar clan. I still think the snake clan has stronger options there, but I think it's an interesting lore to put in there and pretty good change. So now let's jump right into the clan balancing, because a lot of clans got a little bit of changes right there, and let's just start in with the clan that is of course the most important one to change right now, because it's really a powerhouse in the current meta. It is the Ox clan. So at first the city builder bonus has been changed. So in improved zones, specialized units will get a 10% production bonus instead of the 15% that were before. And the building's upkeep cost is reduced by 50% instead of the whole 100%, while the cost of development of zones will be reduced by 50%. So don't think it will change the early game of the orcs that much. You will still get a lot of bonuses at the start that will help you to pay less upkeep because you can just get more developments. Well, it will be a little bit of a nerf in the late game because you can't of course get down to 0 upkeep costs anymore and will need a little bit more gold economy. I really gotta see how that plays out in the end, but I think it's a very welcome change of course, because having the orcs with no upkeep cost in the later stages of the game were a thing that were really scary. Next change is the military pressure change for the 200 fame bonus, that all non-villager units get a production bonus depending on the military units that you control. I don't really know how strong it were before that you actually get the bonus on the villagers, but I guess that there were something possible that were really helpful. I didn't really make too much use of it, but I guess welcome change if that worked out, because I didn't really use it before, so I'm not really missing it right now, let's say it like that. The true hero bonus of Thorfinn has also been changed, so Thorfinn can use provocation. All enemy units and towers target Thorfinn during a short period, and his defense power is decreased by 100% for the next 6 seconds instead of 10 seconds. I am pretty sure that the taunt of Thorfinn didn't last the 10 seconds, so I think the only change is that his defense power were changed from 6 seconds to 10 seconds, because afterwards oftentimes you would still attack Thorfinn to try to get him down if you were really low, and if you were trying that in combination with the heal, Thorfinn were really unkillable. Like, he had really high resistance, he had a really good heal, so it weren't really possible to go for the war chief that, if you get it down, can be really worthy for you if you play against the Ox clan, because it's such an expensive war chief. And I think in combination with the next change, it should really de-arm the Ox clan quite a bit army wise, because the unstoppable lore will now give you basically what it gave you before, while the 10% heal will not come instant anymore. It will be a heal over time that slowly comes in, and therefore will make your Thorfinn a lot more vulnerable if you press the provocation button. And I think you really gotta think about when is the right situation for that, because if you have a lot of army in that tile, like especially in team games, and you push the provocation button, I got a feeling that Thorfinn will fall really fast, and you really gotta watch out to not lose in such situation. With that said, I think the changes for the Boar clan are pretty on point and should really help out to de-arm the clan a little bit while not making it useless. Let's now jump into the clan of the Kraken, what definitely also got a few interesting changes right here. So your Norns will, for example, now produce 20% more happiness and 10% more word. This is really helpful because oftentimes the Kraken clan will rely on those Norns to produce the happiness and word for them, even though another change will change that also a little bit up. But the Norns were a lot weaker than actual brewers for producing happiness, and I think that now levels them up a little bit more, and I think it will actually hurt a lot less now to actually build a Hurger and get a few Norns out than before. Near the Sea Spirit also got a little buff, so you will now get +1 crown and +1 word for every 3 buildings instead of 4 buildings, what is of course a nice welcome change for the Kraken clan players. Also, the Hall of the Sealmaster got a little change here, what is the 500 fame bonus of the Kraken clan, since you will now get a 30% chance for every unit that you kill in a neutral or enemy tile to actually get a spectral warrior to join you in your army. I think that were 10% before, what is obviously a lot less, and will now actually end up in having a lot more ghost warriors fighting for your Kraken clan player, what I think can be pretty helpful. But I think the most important change will actually be the small little change right down here, because the Foresight lore will now move to replace medicine. And yeah, that basically means the space of recruitment is free again, and the Kraken clan will get recruitment back, what is a pretty welcome change, because the Kraken clan were definitely missing this lore. And since it is such a strong lore, what is oftentimes picked up in team games to just repop your population a lot easier, I think that will get the Kraken clan a lot higher in the tier list, and yeah, make it a way better clan. I think really good change here, and makes the Kraken clan a lot more playable. Now we come to two rather small changes right here, because the clan of the snake got a -5% attack power debuff on Signy, and the dragonskin of the dragon clan also got a -5% attack power debuff. On Signy, I would say this debuff might actually be enough, because there's also a change to ranged units that we're gonna get to pretty much at the end of the patch notes, I guess. What will hurt the Snake Clan and Signy quite a bit, definitely, because you work so much with Signy and she will end up to be a little bit less of a threat through this change. And now with the attack power, I think she's also not able to two-hit wolves anymore with Draconic Frenzy, what is actually like a pretty important change then, because if you need a third hit for a wolf, clearing out a tile with 5 wolves or 6 wolves, for example, will be a lot harder. If you now need 12 or 15 hits in comparison to 8 or 10 before, you can already see how that directly changed how the clan will play out at this strategy. The Dragonkin debuff is of course a little bit too small in my opinion, because Dragon clans will definitely clear house, and also with keeping in mind that ranged units got a little debuff, the Dragon clans will even shine more than before, and I really see a hard way to actually stop the Dragon clan right now. But we will see that in the meta. Maybe some things will pop up that can actually hurt the Dragon clan, but the only thing that I really see right now is just coming before they actually get a good amount of Dragonkins, because at that point there's no real unit that you can actually get the Dragon clan anymore with, to be honest. So let's jump into the Boar clan right here, that also got a few changes. The Boar clan actually got a bigger hit than I imagined at the first time, because there are so many changes now coming together for the Boar clan. For example, the production on Lay of the Land for villagers will now not work anymore. So the Lay of the Land bonus will only apply on units that are working in jobs on those tiles. But definitely takes a little bit of power out of the Boar clan, because we were able to get quite a bit of food out of that. And also with Bevering, neutrals will not accept the same trading resource twice anymore, what I don't think is a bad change, because it always felt a little bit wrong to just open up 5 trade routes with giants and just trade stone with them, or iron, just the minerals that you not really need anymore, that were, I think, a little bit exploitive. Now you still have the ability to trade multiple routes food with the giants and other routes with other neutrals. Would still be kind of strong, to be honest. It's just not that super strong anymore, because you're not gonna trade away resources that you actually don't really need. Like, for example, stone on Boar. You're not gonna need that much stone, so you mostly just trade it away. You not have the ability anymore, but I guess with food you're still gonna be quite good. And since you're still getting happiness of Bevering, I think trading will still be very alive. While you're also not gonna get that much food anymore to trade food with the giants because of the Lay of the Land bonus. This is a little bit of a hit there, definitely, keeping in mind that also the altar is not really viable for the Boar clan anymore. I think it will really go back where it were before and rather be a clan that is for non-upgraded attacks in the end, because handiwork is still there, is still really strong. I don't know if at some point it really makes sense to still go for the altar and get the legacy lore to really get the Boar clan going right there. But right now I really see the Boar clan shining the most with going into handiwork quickly, maybe even doing something with erudition and lore. I'm not completely sure if there may be a way opened, but it definitely got a huge hit right there. Also keeping in mind that it will now not have any ability to go for trading caravan anymore, because osmosis got changed on the same spot. And you will now open the way up to negotiate. I don't know how important that is for the Boar clan, because the Boar clan oftentimes, like, the thing that you will buy the most is oftentimes stone or iron. You don't want to buy the stuff with the Boar clan that often, maybe sometimes iron, but buying stone with the Boar clan is, in my opinion, kind of unheard of. The trading caravan maybe were a little bit too overpowered with all the trading routes that you would be open up with neutrals, because the happiness out of Bevering is still there and can still help you really much, and I guess is actually one of the strongest goals also for the Boar clan. So either you go for a gold economy with handiwork basically, or you will go for a full Bevering neutral trade economy. It will now be a little bit harder to set up, but I think still possible. So I don't think the Boar clan is out of the picture, but definitely got a hard hit right here with the patch. The next thing will be the clan of the Raven right here. That gear upgrade lore changed a bit. It now gives 2% attack power instead of 1% attack power for each active sailor and merchant. So it will now be a lot easier to actually get a good amount of bonus onto your army, because oftentimes when you had the army out, you don't really have the villagers in your ships anymore. A few vills are always possible to still have as sailors active, but it's not gonna be as much as in your normal game when you don't have the army out right now, and that basically consumes your food and you need the villagers at home to actually produce food instead of gold. Now, a little bit easier, getting a 6% bonus, I think with 3 sailors should be pretty easy, and also the maximum got raised from 20% to from 15% to 20%, and will therefore also end up to maybe in the later game situations where you really have a lot of pop and where you can have the sailors to really give you a good military bonus right there that can actually keep up with military strategy at least a little bit. The next clan will be the clan of the goat, but also get a little bit of a buff right here, because you will now be able to build 2 sheepfolds at the start of the game. Also, you will be able to get an additional sheepfold if you go for the goat's relic, what I think is a very high price to pay for it, but it's kind of weird. The sheep will also produce 10% less food, what is, I hope, not too much of a debuff for the sheeps right there, because having a few more sheep for the goat clan actually would help to get it a little bit back into the game right now, because it really is hurt by not having the recruitment lore at all. And I think the shepherd lore and spare tools basically got changed, if I understood that right. So I think if you now reach 200 fame with the goat clan, you will be able to build a 3rd sheepfold, what already gives you the ability to have 6 sheep without upgrading any of the sheepfolds, what I think is pretty helpful for the goat clan. You already have then a good amount of food with only getting 200 fame. What is harder to achieve than it were, like I said again, like a year ago, where the goat clan could just have 5 sheepfolds up before the first winter came in. You will now rather run with 3 around the middle of 801, where you should usually reach the 200 fame with the goat clan. But it's definitely still missing the recruitment, and will therefore still have a pretty rough time against other clans. But I really like to see that at least the food economy is definitely back for the goat clan here. Even though it's not as strong as before, I think the food production for the clan should still be really strong and make the goat clan a little bit more goat clan again. Now let's see the Stag clan, the last clan that will actually be able to build the Altar of Kings quite early. Will now also pay 5 stone for it, because with Hero Emblem you will not negate all stone cost for the altar, but rather the 10 stone you were negating before. The 5 stone you will now need to pay for the Altar of Kings, what I personally think is also not the biggest problem for the Stag clan to get the 5 stone around that time. The biggest problem for the Stag clan will actually be to get the fame together to actually get a good amount of resources out of the altar. Now we're jumping in the last changes that will be the bug fixes, and one of the most important changes right now, right at the start. That will be while kiting with ranged units, the next attacks takes a little bit of time to throw a projectile. So that will basically also mean that when axe throwers move around the tile, that with every time that they move, they will take a little bit of time until they actually attack again. So you will now really need to position them perfectly so that they don't start running around while the fight, because as soon as they start running around, you will miss out on DPS and will most likely get destroyed by most other military units. So I think that will really help out Dragonkins, that will really help out warriors, basically everything that axe throwers worked before against, and I think that axe throwers take a huge hit there. So you will definitely see me going for axe throwers a lot less, and rather in situations where I think I can surprise my opponent a little bit more with them, but they are not like a powerhouse unit than they were before, and I think if they would be a tier list of units, they would slowly go to the lowest part of it, definitely. Another change is that wolves can now migrate to M3 neutral territory. It is also not longer possible to assign another sheep to a sheepfold with the Industrious lore, so that were a bug actually, okay. Yeah, that will make Industrious a lot less worth for the sheep clan. I don't know, Industrious were mostly for me to get the sheep into the sheepfold, and other stuff, I don't know, I didn't really went for, and I don't really want to upgrade food buildings on the goat clan, to be honest. But hey, maybe other people think different about that, and therefore it could be a helpful lore, but for me, Industrious will get more or less worthless with that, to be honest. So there were also a few Wyvern fixes, so the skin colors change upon their power and resolved a difficulty issue on hard mode incorporation conquest. Okay. Don't really know what that were about. Like, I know the missions where you need to hunt dragons in the conquest, and yeah, I noticed that there are different strengths of dragons around. Maybe they now actually looked at on low difficulty you will have more of the small dragons, and on higher difficulty you will actually only have the strong dragons around. Would be an interesting change right there. Still need to play a few of the conquests, so I most likely run upon this mission again and will then actually see if that were the change, how I imagine it. The next change is that the Earthquake can no longer target the Altar of Kings. That is a great thing. That is something that really could throw you behind. If you're like two players that rushed for the altar, like in a mirror matchup for example, and your altar started burning and the altar of your opponent didn't start burning, that were 150 wood that you were losing in comparison to him maybe losing, maybe for him just started a house to burn and he then pays like 15 or 25 to repair that and you pay like 150. It's definitely not fair, and I think that's a good change, even though that we will see altars a lot less, so it will make less of a difference like it would have done before the patch, obviously. And the Steam overlay now has been fixed for Mac OS Catalina. I don't use Mac, so I don't know. But yeah, with that we have covered the whole patch notes now. We went over all the changes, and I think you also got a good idea about my opinion about the different changes right here. If you got a different opinion or want to share your opinion, you can definitely do so below the video. I would also love to discuss about a few things right here that you would think are discuss worthy. I think a really interesting patch. There are good changes in here. There are changes in here that I don't like that much, but I think in the whole package it is a pretty good patch right here with a few quite needed changes in Northgard, and for example just getting rid of the all altar meta that were going on. So thanks a lot to Shiro for giving us this patch, and of course thanks a lot for all the players that have tried to make this patch better with their opinions and discussions, to try to make this patch as good as possible. With that I want to come to the end of the video here. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did so, you might want to consider to press the like button on this video to support the channel a little bit. In case you want to see more Northgard content like this, you may also want to push the subscribe button to get notified when the next video goes up. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Maybe try out the new Northgard patch a little bit, because there are definitely quite a new things to try out, and I hope that you have a good day. Bye bye, see ya.